Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today, and it is another nice day here in South Florida with a fast main track. Had a little rain over the evening or this morning. I'll ask Ashley in just a moment because she lives close by, but we're going to start the day with a good main track, and we got one race a little later on. We changed the rail setting, but we'll let you know about that. So we're going to have a great day of racing. Of course, it is Belmont Day.
It is Belmont Day, a lot of action in New York, and we have a big card today, too. A lot of horses entered.
Yeah, we got a good card. Of course, we got $200,000 in the Rainbow Six a little later on, so it's going to be a fun day. And with that said, we had the Stronach 5 yesterday. Once again, it paid over $2,000, 28.28 actually. And we had one bomber in there, and that was that horse at Gulfstream Park in race number 6. I couldn't make that horse. Even went back. It was the number 9 horse. I look back. You know, sometimes I just miss a horse or something. Anybody does. But whoever handicapped it did a fantastic job, and they got a nice payout for it.
I don't think it's often that both of the highest paying legs are here at Gulfstream Park, so that's nice to see. I feel like Golden Gate's either a favorite or a really big long shot. But again, we talk about this every week. If you can get a couple horses that pay $10 or more, it really makes a good payout.
Yeah, Golden Gate, the big favorite had won, but they took the horse down, and so put the second horse up. I think was $8.80. So with that said, we have also 3 pick 4s this afternoon. We got a middle pick 4 with 12 races and 2 pick 5s, and Ashley's got an early pick 5 ticket we're going to get right into because we have a lot of work to cover.
$36 ticket here. I thought the first race was wide open, but I just thought there were 3 main contenders. The 1, Bell's Kingdom, the 3, Raising the Glass, and then my top pick in here, the number 12, Monparadis. Went also 3 deep in race 2, just first-time starters galore with the exception of 1 horse in there. So I did use 3 first-time starters. I think the one out of Saffie Joseph's Jr. barn has probably the best workouts, but Louis Roussel's horse, Shanghai Ronnie, I took some interest in, not just because of the name as well. But
yeah, I put it on top this time, which is not what I normally do. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Race 3, I used 2 horses in here. I think the number 6, Napa Rules, is the one to beat, but I do have intrigue in the number 2, a little bit good. Loved this horse last time out, was disappointed, so maybe some class relief will help. Also went 2 deep in race 4, and the last leg of the sequence is out, race 5. I like the number 5, Colton's the Admiral, and also decided to throw in the number 8, Dreamin' of Seville, who had a nice second last time out at Tampa.
$36 for that, and let's go right into the first race this afternoon. 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. Maiden claim is fillies and mares 3 and up, $12,500. Please note that the number 13 horse, who had a lot of trouble last time, ended up putting this horse in 4th, got really steadied into the second turn. So make sure you check that horse out, ridden by Miguel Vasquez. With that said, we both went with Monparadis on top. He's dropping to the 12.5 level this afternoon. Matter of fact, we'll go back and show you this horse's last race. We're going to pick it up at the top of the stretch where this horse is just searching for racing room, which happened so many times here. Is the number 4 that day, just trying to find a place to run here. You'll see this horse sort of not really having to steady, but just had poking through, trying to find that spot, and finally does, and runs pretty good. Was 3rd that afternoon at 22-1.
Has been a price in both starts under her belt so far. She was claimed on debut. She didn't run a good race at all. She was 7th, beaten by over 15 lengths in the end. But I thought when you watched the stretch run, she did make up some ground, and she was stretching out from 7.5 to 1 mile and 1/16. Mentioned that was first off the claim. I did some digging, wanted to look more into Mike Maker. We know his numbers are solid throughout, but more specific to a horse such as this filly, second off the claim in the past year. He wins at 18%, pretty big sample size. We know Mike Maker claims a lot throughout the country, 21 for 115, 51% in the money. The ROI not going to really be appealing at $1.10, but obviously the numbers. This horse has a live shot today, what we see on paper and then with the stat.
The number 3, Raising the Glass, is stretching out to the 8.5 today and wearing blinkers, pressed the pace. Finished 4th, 16 maidens going a mile. It's leading trainer Saffie Joseph Jr., Edwin Gonzalez, trying to catch Edgar Zayas in the stands, and he has a good chance. He's been riding great form. I put in 2nd. You went with the 1, Bell's Kingdom, who goes from the outside post 10 to the rail today.
And you look at both of these fillies, it's interesting. In the case of Raising the Glass, they changed tactics from the debut to the second start. Instead of trying to close from off the pace, they were forwardly placed, and that's kind of the opposite of Bell's Kingdom. I just kind of like the removal of blinkers. I think the last 2 races, they've been pretty good, and just making the second start now for Joe Orsino.
Let's flip the page, go to race number 2 this afternoon, 6 furlongs, maiden special weight, 3-year-olds and up. When you were talking about your ticket, a lot of first-time starters in this race, 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. And I'm going to go this time. I usually don't put the Ronnie horses on top, but I like the connections. That's Shanghai Ronnie, who's a $92,000 son of Shanghai Bobby, debuting for Louis Roussel. Sharp workouts showing in the morning. Now, this isn't usually his game. If you look at his record, not that sharp with first-time starters. Gets Lasix, but gets Edwin Gonzalez today, and I'm going to try and beat the horse that you have on top, the Safi horse in the Mulsanne run.
I think when you look at both of them, they're both training phenomenally from the workouts and from terms of a times perspective. You mentioned Shanghai Ronnie, $92,000 purchase as a 2-year-old. He is a Louisiana bred, so they're bringing him here to Florida. But he spent some time at the fairgrounds, seemed to be training well, and then he had a little bit of a gap in his works. But Mulsanne Run is just another one. I loved the move to works back. That was on May 22nd, 47-4, breezing from the gate, pretty sharp and hard to ignore.
Here we go with that question again with the 12 workout showing in preparation for the debut. The number 3, Grounded, is a gelded son of Medalliadoro, debuting for Timmy Ham with leading jock Edgar Zayas named to ride. And you watch the total on all of these horses in this race, and maybe that's where you decide what horse you use in your early pick 4.
Yeah, kind of like very nice pedigree as son of Medaglia has another one working well. I feel like we don't say that often. I feel like there's only usually 1 or 2 that really stand out. But Grounded, we talk about Tim Ham all the time and the work he does with first-time starters. Wanted to do a little bit more digging, so I have a stat for Tim Ham as well. This is with 3-year-old first-time starters the past 2 years. He's 5 for 25. He wins at 20%. Bumped that a little bit up in the money at 36%. A very nice ROI, though, of 330. So, this was just a little bit of a different story. We usually talk about his 2-year-olds, and now we have a first-time starter that's a 3-year-old.
Yeah, he's got some really good stats. I'm liking seeing that. Now, race number 3 this afternoon is a mile and a 16th on the turf. These are claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Or 3-year-old, 20,000 down to 16. This is where there's a rail setting. This rail is going to be at 96 feet this afternoon. So just wanted to point that out to everybody because of that little bit of rain that we had. When did it rain? This morning?
I believe it rained in the middle of the night. I woke up and I think I heard it, but, it might have been a dream. I don't know, but definitely rained.
Well, you went here and probably absolutely right that number 6, Snapper Rules, a major player, and here is stepping up to competition. Returned from that layoff to wire that field of runners for Rohan Crichton. We've been mentioning him almost every single day here for the last week.
I know, but that's all we talk about, I feel like. It's just numbers. He's been really strong this meet. We talk about when he gets kind of going, he's on a roll. I just thought it was a big improvement. This horse seemed to be a big part of the early pace scenario, and Jaramillo's climbing back aboard. And piloted to the last couple wins, actually, too.
I got a favorite horse in here, and that's the number 3 horse in here, and that's Isadorable Aida. This one goes to the Carlos David barn after the claim made a middle move to finish 4th at this level and distance. But this barn is a whopping 40% with new claims. Miguel Vasquez atop this 6-time turf winner. One of those horses, hard-knocking campaign, the campaign that I had a lot of success with. So I'm putting that one on the top. Even though that race last time out wasn't the greatest of efforts, I'm going to go with that way. And you mentioned you like a little bit good in this race.
I do. I'm going to give Little Bit Good one more chance. She's a 4-year-old filly kind of facing some more seasoned mares, such as the horse that you like. But I thought Little Bit Good 2 starts back. It was a huge performance in that starter allowance. It was going 7.5. Is going to stay at that mile and a 16th, which last time out faced a state bred and just never really got rolling. I was really disappointed with the performance. I just think she might have taken a step back. But the thing I really liked today, a little bit of class relief, and then who's climbing back aboard? Edwin Gonzalez, who piloted to that last win.
Yeah, for trainer Ronnie Spatz. So certainly a major player in that spot. We're basically in agreement with the top 3 selections in there. Race number 4 is a 6-furlong sprint. These are maiden claimers 3 and up, $12,500. We both went with the 2 in here. Personal Meadows cutting back to 3/4. Set the pace, finished second, going 7. It's Handicapping 101 here with me, Oscar Gonzalez, Embassy Jaramillo. I think the turnback's going to help.
I think just the last 2 races stood out. This horse has been an early pace presence in both, has been to the lead, and then last time out stretched out and fared better, was actually closer, only beaten by 3 lengths, but you mentioned the cutback. I had to give this one the edge over Dr. Roger.
Number 7, Financing Our Dream, is free-falling today to the 12.5 level after failing to show much when facing a competitive special weight field that's produced a trio of next-out winners. But, boy, not very pretty last time out.
No, both performances haven't been great. I guess the debut would have been better. You mentioned the last race was productive. The debut was also productive. But this is just going from kind of the top for Florida breds for maiden special weight down to the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and Dr. Roger listed as a gelding. He's the son of Frost. It looks like he'll run okay in that spot. Race number 5 this afternoon is 1 mile on the turf. These are claimers 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, 12.5 down to $10,500. And we'll start with your horse on top, and that's number 8, Dreaming of Seville, who's making its local return after coming within that head of defeating those 10 2 lifetime claimers, going a mile up at Tampa Bay.
You look at the races before that here at Gulfstream Park. I thought the 1-3 back was okay. The horse was kind of even in the end, and then even the next time, similar performance. But I like when horses get a little bit of confidence. I thought shipping over to Tampa was the right move. Just missed in the end. It was pretty big. So if this horse can kind of retain that most recent form from a speed figure perspective, I think this horse is a big contender. Plus, you see the rider. I keep on saying Edwin Gonzalez. I watch everything that he rides, and he's only ridden once for Saranago, but it was a winner.
I went with the one in here, who you have a little further down on your ticket, highly noted, who's debuting locally, and drop it to the 12.5 level after breaking from the rail, Speed and jockey, Embassy El Jaramillo, needed to use the inside post to its advantage. Speed play for me. It's as simple as that. I love the work that Embassy El does when he wants to be on the engine in here, so dreaming of Seville on my ticket. And then we both used the number 5, Colton's the Admiral.
I loved the horse's last two races. I thought the maiden win was pretty nice on March 10th, was able to kind of rally and circle the field and got up to draw clear in the end. And then last time out, face winners for the first time at this level, going 7.5, and still had somewhat of a rally. I thought the break wasn't the best for him, so I just thought the price was going to be right on him. I think other horses are going to take more play, and he can certainly step up facing winners for the second time.
Yeah, and Mitzi Raymond, I think, was that was its second consecutive victory, I believe, in that race. So coming out of a pretty good race. We got stakes action this afternoon, 2 stakes, and one I'm very interested to see. And is the 6th race. It's a 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. It's a $60,000 handicap. Love these horses. No conditions. This is it. You want to run in this race, you run in this race. And the big favorite, I believe, is going to be Diamond Oops, who's 5 for 9 in the money on the Gulfstream main track. But I want to go back and show you this horse's last performance. I think it's 6 furlongs when it won, and we're going to go all the way back to October 2nd, 2020 at Keeneland, the Grade 2 Phoenix. Now, you would see this race, you think at this time there's no way this horse is going to win. You got a long shot in front, but you got a big favorite on there. Number 4 horse, Diamond Oops, just showed its resolve. It would not be beat here, just coming down the stretch. And I just thought it was an impressive performance. And that was, as I mentioned, the Grade 2 it's Phoenix at Keeneland. So just wanted to show this horse can win. Great stakes winner on both turf and dirt, and just very powerful. Now, we had mentioned yesterday, and we talked a little bit about this, comeback was on the turf, was a great 6. Wasn't that greatest, but this horse, I'm going with the old horse for course angle with Diamond Oops.
You just mentioned he loves it here on the main track. You mentioned the turf race last time out. Thought it was decent. He has this kind of a grinding style where you saw in the replay he's going to try to grind it out, and he does, tries his best every single time. Liked his 2 wins in 2020. One was on the turf, then you showed the Phoenix. Then his other races, he was just kind of against really tough horses, not the competition that he's facing today. You see Whitmore, CZ Rocket, Ferenz Fire, who won yesterday at Belmont. We're talking top of the notch.
Yeah, we're talking the top in the world, and this horse is not afraid, and on either surface, I just love this throwback horse for me with Diamond Oops. Miles ahead, I thought maybe you would have on top, being a buyer aficionado as you are. This one is turning back to its most accomplished distance. 5 races with 4 wins, posted its second consecutive 90-plus buyer when defeating those 16 starter allowance runners, going 7 for Mr. Eddie Plesa Jr.
Okay, you already threw me under the bus with my buyer love. Love my buyer speed figures, but big thing for this, I think it's going to be a class test for Miles ahead. Maybe you look at the level of this race, this isn't a graded stakes race, but when you look at what Diamond Oops has accomplished, this is going to be a test for him. So I used him for second. His last 2 races, I thought he's been fabulous, and both of them, one at 6 furlongs and one at 7 furlongs. But as I mentioned, deeper water today.
Yeah, number 2, Willie Boy. I really have some interest in this horse. He's looking to rekindle that horse for course status. He's had 4 races here with 3 wins. After pressing the pace, he finished 4th. That was in the 6 furlong Grade 3 Chick Lang up at Pimlico. Edwin Gonzalez handled the homecoming with Willie Boy today. I thought this horse was the horse in the race that was a little sneaky, that maybe can grab a share in there. You went with the number 5 in here, I believe, Our Nation on Parade in 3rd.
I used Our Nation on Parade last time out, going a mile, which was a big question for me. It proved to be an obstacle for him that he just wasn't comfortable with. I think on the cutback, he's dangerous. He's been very quick here locally. Both of his wins are at the 6 furlong distance, and one was in the early December, and then more recently in March. So it's only his 2nd start since March, and I mentioned the cutback. So Kathy Ritvo also does pretty well second off the layoff.
Well, that's really great. I'm waiting to see Diamond Oops come back. With that, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. It'll be a Rainbow 6 time, at least my ticket time. welcome back. Gulfstream today, a little after 11:30. We're just trying to feel comfortable here. It's been a long time since the two of us sat next to each other. It's a year and a half, I mean, since I was up here with any kind of co-host. So it's been a lot of fun, but we got to adjust our seats and everything. We're trying to make it look as beautiful as it can. I got the help on my side. This side I don't know about. So with that said, let's check out my Rainbow Six ticket this afternoon, 43.20. I went 3 deep in here, and this is about 7.5 on the turf. These are maiden claimers, fillies and mares, 16. I like take me as I am, and as I mention each and every day, I don't like to get knocked out in the first leg, so I'm going deep. I'm also using Red Wind. They're going to show you that horse. Iris the Empress got some nice coverage throughout the thing. Race number 11 is our other stake race this afternoon. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with only 2 in here with Paradise Song and Shady Summer. But there's about 14 different ways I think you can go in that race. But I'm going to keep it with those 2. I got a little bit of a price in race number 12 with the 5 horse. I think 5 or 6 to 1 on the morning line, which I think can run well in here. And that's Beauty Queen for Carlos David. I think that horse is going to take some money in the last race. So getting back to the 7th, about 7.5 on the turf. Who'd you put on top?
I was all over the place here. Ultimately, it looks like we almost have the try this time. I went the 8 in here. I thought this horse, just looking at this most recent performance, was probably one to include in here, at least on top. Safi Joseph Jr. last time out, $35,000 level, now dropping to 16. Looks awfully dangerous to me.
Well, we both have the number 9 at second, Red Wind. We're going to go back and revisit this horse's last race. First, we're going to show Red Wind. It's going to get pushed out going into the first turn. And it was just, you could see here, it's one of these, they just had to find the number 11 that afternoon, just gets pushed way out. They just keep going and going, and actually put him in a pretty bad spot. He had to come back, and he just had to get stuck behind horses. And, you know, it's always hard to carve out a trip. Then we're going to show the turn for home to the wire, and I thought this one ran okay. There is the number 11 to rally and finished third. Didn't have that clearest a trip, but comes up, joins the fray, and, you know, drifts a little bit in the stretch, but I just thought this horse would run okay. After having, a little tough beginning and having to probably run a 16th of a mile more than anybody else in the race, being pushed out that wide.
Since she's dropped to this $16,000 level, I think she's been very competitive. You see here, she's going to finish third. She's just going to miss by length and a quarter. So she doesn't give up second by that much. I mentioned the $16,000 level has been key because before then, we didn't really see the same filly that we're seeing now. So I like her staying at this level, and hopefully she doesn't get a trouble trip. It's been 2 times in a row, and I hate to say third time, sometimes a charm.
Well, the other horse, we both, I used the 6, you used the 5. Iris the Empress departs from an improved post. Was post 11 last time out for Ralph Nix. Luca Panici in the saddle today.
This is one I looked at. I was between Iris the Empress and Art Rock. I went with Art Rock, just making the second start since joining the barn of David Fox, who sends out a pair in here. I thought this was the better of the 2. It's a daughter of Artie Schiller, and last time up was by far her best performance. She's still trying to hit the board, but was on the cutback to 5 furlongs. Now she's going to stretch back out, and I think last time out it showed that she needs extra ground.
Well, let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. 1 mile on the turf. Claim is 3 and up. Nominators of 2 in life. 12.5 down to $10,000. Nice full field. I think we're just going to scratch the main track only in the number 3. And Holy Meister going to the Bobby de Bonavon, after the claim, but immediately drops to the 12.5 level. Boy, if there was a red flag up here, I'd be waving it.
It's interesting, too, when you look at this 5-year-old, you look at his races. He's been there almost every single time. The only time he missed the board, he was 4th 3 starts back, but 3 starts back was February of 2020. So interesting to see him fire off a year layoff in a really strong race and now in for the lower tag. But with that said, I think if he kind of looks like the one to beat based on his last couple races.
Yeah, I had to put him on top of my ticket, and I was torn between putting that horse or the 2 Kicks on 66 on top just because of that, but I just kept going back, and I'll just talk about the Kicks on 66, who shortened up to the mile, finished that willing second against Simler, going that mile into 16. Late striding son of Liam's Map. I think he reaps the spoils if the shaky favorite fails to negotiate the distance today.
I like Kicks on 66, but I think his form is shaky a little bit. He has a good race, and he's still there, but he's not kind of in the exotics at all. So he's coming into this race off a huge performance, his best one this year. I just gave the number 12, Mr. Tito's the edge. Edwin Gonzalez climbing aboard after a 3rd place finish, going a mile and an 1/8. Before that, he went a mile and 3/8. So last time out, I liked the 3rd place finish behind Template. He's going to get an equipment change today as well, blinkers on.
And trained by our buddy Jennifer Young. Let's see how she does this afternoon. Just knocking on the door. I think she's just started training, and I think she's got 9 starters with 3 thirds. So maybe she'll get out of third gear and get the win this afternoon. We're rooting for her for sure. Race number 9 this afternoon, a 1 mile claimer, 3 and up, $6,250. Do have one scratch in the wrist. Boy, we got some big fields today, and I guess you had to put your head together to get your late pick 4 ticket going.
I did. And looking at the late pick 4, I played a $24 ticket. I just used 2 horses in here. I think we're kind of flip-flopping in here, if I'm not mistaken. You might like Swing West a little bit more. I like Candy Crush from the 2 as my top pick. Race 10, I spread. I go 3 deep in here. Looking at the field, I thought the number 6, Go Poke the Bear, is a huge shot in here. I do like the number 7, Digital Footprint, first off the claim for trainer Kent Sweezy, as well as the number 11, Philo, who was your long shot play last time out and didn't disappoint. Race 11, we mentioned this is a stakes race on the card. This is the game face going 6.5 furlongs over the dirt. I like Paradise Song, but I didn't use Shady Summer like you did. I used the number 5, Minute Waltz. And then I spread in race 12. I had the flexibility here to kind of add horses. Was just going to use 3 selections, use my top 4 because it was only going to be $24.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I see the race in the last, with the 5, the 1, and the 2. As I mentioned, I'm favoring the 5 just a little bit in there. So we have a quandary here. We have flip-flopped our top 2 selections in here. So we'll start with you, Candy Crush, trained by Gilberto Zerpa. We're going to try and make it 2 in a row after getting up just at the wire to catch both Swing West and the other horse in here, Dr. DJ, which he ran okay too, but I could understand going with the connections of Gilberto Zerpa.
Yeah, you basically used them. All 3 horses exiting that same race as your top 3. I thought last time out he got a nice stalking position in that race and was able to win. It was first off the claim from Gilberto Zerpa. We know that number's really strong. With winners last time out, not as strong as that number, 12%, but still good. Look at the performances here. 7 for 13 in the money over the main track, 4 wins. I just like how he really stepped up last time out for the new connections.
Well, the number 3 horse in his Swing West, I mean, these are, it's apples or oranges. This one was going to get Lasix after making a move to reach the lead before getting nailed at the wire in that 3 horse blanket photo we're talking about here. Candy Crush him, Dr. DJ last time out. So you got to pick your poison in the spot, which one you want to use on top. But I'm going to use all 3 myself. You also used the number 9 horse in here, Long Gray Line.
Long Gray Line last time out was 4th, beaten by 2 1/4, and who is he 4th to? The 3 horses we already mentioned. I thought it was a step up. 2 starts back, he faced way saltier competition, and kind of at the 62.50 level, he's always been there. The last 3 times he's tried it, he's yet to finish worse than 4th. He had a 3rd and a 2nd, so I thought he was a big player, maybe at a price.
So let's keep with the big field theory here in race number 10. We've got 11 runners in the field. We're only taking out the main track only. It's a mile on the turf. Claim is 3 and up, $12,500. And I am in agreement with you. I think that Go Poke the Bear is the one to beat on the drop to the 12.5 level for Mike Maker.
When you look at the races at the 35 level back in January and February, he was closing from off the pace. He wasn't getting beaten by that much, usually maybe 3-4 lengths, but he just didn't have enough. This is a huge drop in class. He has 2 wins locally from his 3 in his career. It's been a while, though, since he's been in the winner's circle. We haven't seen him there since January of 2020, but I think class relief is going to kind of trump everything in here.
Well, I'm just looking at you used the number 11, Philo in 2nd. I knew you weren't going to use Positive Phil. You used a little further down.
I'm bitter about that horse. I can never catch Positive Phil, so I used him for 4th. The Philo, you mentioned this. The last 2 races, he caught your eye 2 starts back with the trip that he got. It was not perfect, and he just missed by length and 3/4. And last time out, he made you sweat it. That was a really close nose between that horse and Zero Gravity. But he's teamed up with this rider again. I thought his last 2 rides were perfect for this horse, as good as they could be. So why not use him? He's been performing well at the 12.5 level.
Well, I'm positive about Positive Phil today. He's going to face open competition. He finally put it all together last time out when he drew clear to defeat 12.5 condition claimers as the favorite. But he won it really well. He won it by 4 widening lengths for Wansi Avila. The trainer had 3 wins on yesterday's card. So a hot barn, Hector Berrios going for 2 in a row. This horse has broken my heart many times, too, because our what we call our workmate, Phil Janak. We always bet this horse with him together and everything like that. And we lost more than we won, but I'm going to go back to him. I know you like Digital Footprint, and so do I. Was going to the Kent Sweezy barn.
Yeah, I want to pull up a trainer stat real quick for Kent Sweezy, looking kind of at first off the claim. So I went in Formulator yesterday, looked at the first off the claim the past year, and this barn does claim a decent amount. 4 for 25, 16%, but the big thing that stood out is 13 for 25, 52% in the money with a $1.59 ROI. This horse has been pretty consistent. He typically closes from off the pace. I thought 3 starts back, he liked being closer than he has in those more recent starts, and that's why he was able to grind out the win. But 4 for 7 in the money here at Gulfstream Park over the turf course and entering a barn that's doing pretty well so far at the meet.
Yeah, I mean, got to have him on the tickets for all the reasons you mentioned in there. So Go Poke the Bear, I think, is the one to beat. But after that, you can go a bunch of different ways in that race. Race number 11 this afternoon, if I could ever turn this page, is our other stakes race of the day. I can't, look at that. Now I got it. Okay. 6 1/2 furlongs, fillies, 3-year-olds, $75,000. It is the game face. We're going to have 7 in the field. No scratches, no jockey changes in here. And I went with the number 4 Paradise Song. It's a $250,000 Daughter Frosted, debuting locally for Mike Trombetta. Followed, I remember this allowance, optional claiming victory up at Laurel. Comes back, has a ton of trouble. I was up there to watch the grade 3 Miss Preakness at Pimlico last time out. Edgar Zayas rides the Maryland Shipper, so I'm keying off the race 2 back. And the trouble I saw this horse get in up at the Pimlico, so I just thought Paradise Song was a logical contender. But you can make a great case for number 5. And when I saw that you picked number 5, and that I believe is the morning line favorite in Minute Waltz, I might have missed this horse a little bit.
I don't know. I think Paradise Song, the big thing that you saw two starts back at Laurel, this horse was able to close from off the pace. She didn't need that speed. So I think she's a huge contender. I used her for second. But Minute Waltz, I thought the last couple starts at Fairgrounds and Churchill, has faced some kind of tough competition up there. It hasn't tested graded stakes waters like Paradise Song, but I liked the effort 2 back where this horse just missed by a nose, going 1 mile and a 16th at the Fairgrounds. And besides one race, she's another consistent runner. I mean, that's kind of the main angle in here. They're really nice fillies in here. They've all kind of been faring well. I just thought Minute Waltz had maybe a ship-in angle here. Interesting to come down to South Florida for this.
Yeah, trained by Phil Bauer today and going to be ridden by Mr. Sammy Camacho. Here's my thought on the number 3, Shady Summer. Going back to the main track, trying to recapture the form she displayed during our freshman season. She was very impressive in a 2-year-old campaign here. She followed a 4th place finish. Now, that was a sloppy track in the any limit. Comes back and runs second in the $75,000 allowance optional claimer, going 5 furlongs on the turf. Carlos David, MCL Jaramillo handling the surface switch. So I'm sort of going back to that, this horse was sort of like a buzz horse back in its 2-year-old campaign. So Shady Summer, I think, is taking those steps in a positive way. So I don't know what this horse is on the morning line. Maybe a little bit of a 6 to 1. So a little bit of a price, and that was my thought on there. And then we both used the number 2, Coach Jerry's Joy, who's back locally, went up to Tampa and defeated those optional claimers for who? Safi.
Broke her maiden at Gulfstream Park West over the slop. Then they put her in some stakes races here, including the grade 3 Forward Gal. Just didn't fare well, but last time out at Tampa, I liked the confidence boost coming in here with a win. It was a pretty nice win, too.
Well, you went 4 deep in race number 12. It's 5 furlongs on the turf. These are claimants, fillies and mares, 3 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life. We got 2 scratches so far, the 14 15. I'm sure the 13 will come out sooner or later, but that's up to Pete Aiello. Takes care of all that good stuff for us. As I mentioned, I started it with the number 5 Beauty Queen, who was 4th against Better in her 2 previous turf sprints. So you go back, you look at those turf sprints. I think those were against Better. She's going back to the grass. She lost her best chance. She bobbled at the start, going 6 on the dirt for who? Carlos David. I'm just reading all the stuff I did. Carlos David better have a good day for me today. Angel Arroyo in the saddle.
You're part of his fan club, I think. I think you're the big member in there. I have a note here in my formulator from a while back, but when that first turf sprint came up in March 26th, I made a note in there. It was the first time sprinting, blinkers on, first time LASIK. So it was a bunch of changes, but these are changes that the barn does very well with. They know when to make these changes, and it was an improved performance, you even mentioned the other time. So I think getting back on the turf sprinting is huge. You see 3 starts back when she was beaten by 3 lengths. Who beat her missing link, who went on to win 3 in a row, was defeated yesterday, but has been very quick here over the turf course. So she's trying to catch a horse that usually on the lead gets kind of dangerous.
Yeah, missing link might have been in a tough spot yesterday. So you did go with the number 9 on top of your ticket. I'm liking this Bahamian Rhapsody. So we'll see how this horse runs. Actually second in the morning line.
I mean, look at the turf sprints here. 5 for 6 in the money here at Gulfstream Park. Finally put it all together last time out at the $16,000 level and was able to take them gate to wire and kind of held her own throughout. Now she's going to face winners for the first time, and I do think it's going to be a test for her. You mentioned other horses in here. They've had their kind of shot at this level, non-winners of 2 lifetime, but I like what I saw last time.
Well, the number 2, Capture the Genie, who I'm in third and you have in second, is going to the Sharon Boland barn after the claim. We're going to go back and show you this horse. First, we're going to show you this horse getting shuffled back to last at the start was the number 8 coming out of the gate. And you're just going to see one of these, whoops, you got to put the brakes on there, and you see the horse is back. Now, turns for home. And I thought she ran. We're going to see her. You know, it's one of those when if you follow this up, and we're going to cut back. She was just rushing up to get into contention. Tips out here and just runs very well. Drifts a little in the stretch, but still manages to finish, I think, a great second after having that trouble at the start. So that's going from last to second. And she sort of had to, steady a little bit there, too, right at this, just before the wire.
You can see she had to get pushed wide. I mean, look at her when she crosses the wire, how wide she was on the track. And she had a long layoff, July 2019 to February 2021. But since getting back onto the turf, or really just trying the turf, her last 2 efforts, they've been very solid.
Well, that is how we see the 12 race card, but we are not done yet because we still have our world famous lightning round coming up right now. So we'll get right to it today. And talking about 2-year-olds that we've had a lot of them run this week, I think the most impressive one, and I think we're going to see this horse in the Florida Sire Stakes Series, is a horse called Hope in Him. And you made a great point yesterday, pointing out that this is a son of Shitu. Is a $3,500 stallion. They paid $190,000 for us. Let's take a look at that. This very impressive performance. Just cruises under the wire. Green as grass, but I think this horse is going to take a positive step forward off that.
It's always nice to kind of see them win this way because you wonder what is next for them. They can certainly improve and learn a lot out of this performance. And that horse was the most pricey purchase in that field and certainly ran like the paper would have suggested. So nice to see Joe Orsino get a win with that first-time starter.
Yeah, and I saw the eavesdrop. He was walking by our office. He was on the phone with someone saying, oh, yeah, he'll be in the Florida Sire Stakes. That's why I was able to tip that out. Now I hope I'm not in trouble for eavesdropping in there. There's hard-knocking campaigners, and one of those horses is Firenze Fire. We're going to go back and revisit this horse's race yesterday just before the skies opened up at Belmont and just ran a bang-up race, got a 105 buyer for this performance, winning the Grade 2 Grade 2 True North, comes back. If you remember this horse at Gulfstream last time out was beat, I think a half length in the Mr. Prospector.
When you just watch him race, I mean, he's just such an honest horse. He tries every single time. And I loved going through Twitter yesterday. He got a lot of praise because he's just kind of a tough fighter. It's what you love to see in a horse.
And we got some Rainbow Six information besides our $200,000 jackpot guarantee here today. We got a mandatory payout in the Rainbow Six at Santa Anita on Sunday. So there you see, it's a mandatory payout. They love to bet the Rainbow Six out there, so I'm sure it's going to be good. And I also wanted to mention Pimlico today. I think their carryover is $900,000. So we got lots of rainbow information on the East and West Coast.
I was watching it yesterday where it was ticking up, it tells you the carryover, and it was ticking up, and now to see their carryover, it's been huge at Pimlico. But you mentioned the mandatory payout. It'll be interesting to see what the pool ends up growing to because people just kind of are like a magnet to it. They're attracted to it, and they want to bet it.
Yeah, and they always love that pick six out there on the West Coast. And we want to say to Irad Ortiz Jr. after that horrible spill he took the other day. He was injured in the fall, but there you see he's with his daughter. He's back. He's all fine. No fractures, so he'll be back on a couple of weeks. And, of course, when he's here at Gulfstream Park, he owns Gulfstream Park.
He certainly does. And disappointing that this would happen 2 days before the Belmont, and just in general, obviously disappointing. But he had a lot of live mounts today, so I'm sure some jocks will be happy to pick up those horses. But hopefully we'll see him back in just about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he's great. It's a tough gig for these jockeys. It's something like that happens, but I read about come back bigger and stronger than before. So that's how we see all the action here. We're going to turn it over to Mr. Peter Aiello. He's going to have all the scratches, changes you need, and it's going to be a fun day of racing, and we'll be here throughout the afternoon, I hope.